I think when you look at the very fine report today from Mr. Justice Flood and realise that he was one of the most eminent jurists of the country, that he had a very strong legal team with very strong legal powers of disclosure and discovery, and that it took him 5 years to come up with the information that he has here now, I think people would accept that there was no way that the Taoiseach had the powers or the disposal at his disposal at that time to be able to have that information.
Did the Taoiseach do all he could do?
The Taoiseach did all he could do in the short time that was available to him. And I think what's important now is that having this report, that we now make sure, which a report that is a terrible indictment of Mr. Ray Burke and indeed others, that those people named are brought to justice and are held to account for their actions.
He did all he could do, and yet he didn't ask Ray Burke about specific companies. He didn't approach James Gogarty, the man who made these allegations in the first place. Did he do all he could do?
Well, it took, as I say, 5 years of a tribunal. It took oral hearings over a couple of hundred days.
He could have done these things at the very time he was making a key decision about the appointment of Ray Burke.
No, I think the Taoiseach made it very clear today. He didn't have the powers of compulsion and discovery and disclosure that the legal people had. And questions that were asked then, obviously different answers came through over the last 5 years.
He could have asked Ray Burke about specific companies. He could have gone to James Gogarty and made a request for information.
The Taoiseach made it quite clear that he got as much information as he could. And I think today even he said, basically, if he knew then what he knows now, he wouldn't have made that appointment. And he said that himself.
He said
but he's very anxious, I think, to move forward now on this, to make sure that people are held to account, that all of the institutions of the state would work to that nothing any of us would say, as some other panellists said here earlier tonight, would in any way prejudice any criminal investigation.
Let's look at the Taoiseach for a moment and his public statements. He said that at the time he appointed Ray Burke, that he didn't believe he had taken a payment, any money was given. Yet when he found out the money was given, he still stuck by Ray Burke. He didn't do anything to punish him.
Because all that was there at the time was rumour and innuendo. And it took the legal team
but when that was
and
replaced by
£21 million.
When that was replaced by fact, he stuck with Ray Burke and said that he was a victim of sinister doings.
Well, if the fact has come out today, and the fact comes out as a result of a very, very thorough investigation, and that's why we welcome that investigation. And we want to make sure that people who suffered as a result of corruption, that assets gained as a result of the corruption or enhanced as a result.
My question is, when Bertie Ahern discovered that a lie had been told to him by Ray Burke, why did he not at that point say Ray Burke had to step down? Or at least stop defending him?
Well, Ray Burke resigned from the Dáil, resigned from his position within 3 months of the election.
And on the day he resigned, Bertie Ahern gave a fulsome tribute to the man he said was honourable.
Because nothing had been investigated as it has been now in the 5 years. And immediately acting on foot of the establishment of the tribunal, the Taoiseach, leading the Fianna Fáil-led government, introduced legislation which ensures that we now have the tightest regime of any country in Europe in relation to standards and disclosure.
This inconsistency with the Taoiseach telling the Dáil that at the time he made the appointment he believed no money was given, and yet telling something completely different to Mary Harney.
No, I mean, at the time the Taoiseach made the appointment, he did not have the information that he has now.
But he told Mary Harney he did.
Now. We don't know what went on between the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach. Neither of them, as I said in the report.
But the Taoiseach, his Taoiseach still is giving a completely different account of what happened.
I mean, again, just to repeat, I mean, the Taoiseach did not have the information that the Flood Tribunal took 5 years to acquire. And I think it is important now, having that information, that we ensure that it is acted upon, not only in the interests of the people named and the system because of the people named, but of the wider body politic, to make sure that what we want to see, which is ethics in public life of people who are elected to public office, should be maintained.
John Gormley, the government has done a hell of a lot to try and clear our public life since they found out these facts. They're more than they possibly could have been expected at the time.
Well, Mary Hanafin's not helping the situation here tonight. She's coming in defending a deceitful and untrustworthy Taoiseach. This Taoiseach appointed a man who had received £30,000 in cash. Mary Harney knew that he had received £30,000 in cash. He came in and misled the Dáil about that. And Mary Hanafin is now coming in trying to defend this person. And another matter, we have Mr. Hold on, please let me continue. Mr. P.J. Mara, who has been proven to be uncooperative with the tribunal, is still your Director of Elections for the Nice Treaty, came along this evening and said he hadn't even contemplated resigning. What does that tell us about the moral compass of Mr. P.J. Mara? What does it tell us about the moral compass of our Taoiseach?
Well, thank you. Just I say in relation to the Taoiseach, there are 200 pages in the report. There isn't one syllable of criticism of Bertie Ahern, the Taoiseach, in that report. And I think that speaks for itself.
Yes, okay, but have you seen his performance in the Dáil? Have you just witnessed what he has said to us, how he misled us? He knew that Mr. Ray Burke had received £30,000 in cash. Is that normal behaviour in your book? Is that, if you got £30,000 in cash, would you not think there's something abnormal about that? I mean, it is unacceptable in public life, and you have besmirched public life, and I find it unacceptable that Fianna Fáil can come in here and pretend that was then and this is now.
Well, allow Mary Hanafin to respond. Sorry, Mary Hanafin.
Of course it is unacceptable, and that is exactly what the Flood Tribunal has discovered, and nobody would defend that. I mean, that report is a terrible indictment of those activities, and the Taoiseach has not defended those.
He has defended